Welcome back, folks. I hope you're all doing very well. So today we're going to talk about a couple of kind of mid-range Chinese knives. The first of which is the Sitivien ST666. This is a pretty big knife at 5 inches on the handle and 3.5 on the cutting edge. The frame is titanium alloy and it's bead blasted in pretty nice texture. It looks good. It's not super slippy at all. And then we've got fat carbon fiber inserts in this black, yellow, blue, and green. And it's got a little texture to it, which I really like. A lot of times carbon fiber is perfectly smooth, and I kind of hate that. And I love that this has a little bit of ridges and whatnot. The frame itself is really nice. It's really well contoured, tons of milling, which is all very intentional. You can feel it as you manipulate the knife. It is all very purposeful. The back spacer runs the full length of the handle, and it is really nice. I'm really impressed with that. Clip is also well made, convex on the ramp, nice and flexy. Got that window so you can see through to the carbon fiber, which is nice. And these cutouts just add a little more visual interest. For opening devices, we have the front flipper and the flick hole, both of which work very well. Blade shape is a spear point. I mean, it's not quite symmetrical, but it's close enough for me. I'm going with spear point. Steel is M390, which is fantastic, although I saw on Reddit a guy did a hardness test of a Sitivien blade and it came back at like a 56 HRC. I'm hoping that that was just a dud because I really like this knife, and I'm hoping that he will get another one to test that will kind of vindicate my opinion of it. I've used it quite a lot, and while there's a little bit of rolling on the edge and whatnot there, I mean, I've broken down easily 100 boxes with this knife, and it still looks great. So I'm really surprised to see that. We've got a secondary tip here that is pretty subtle, but you can find it, and it's nice for opening, boxes that are full or whatever, so there's no chance of damaging what's inside them, and I use that a lot. I really like this blade shape, the belly coming down to a secondary tip, and then the straight blade coming back from there. Really convenient, and I think might mean my preferred blade shape now. The finish, as you can see, is bead blasted on the grind, and it's pretty subtle, although in this bright light that I have above this area, it is kind of blown out. But as you can see, if I get it out of that light, it's kind of a dull bead blast. I really like it. On the flats, we have a nice hand satin, and then in the interior of the blade here, that has been hit with beads, and it also kind of has a bit of a horizontalness to it. I'm wondering if it didn't get both treatments. The action on this guy is just dreamy. It is on vinyl bearings. I tried to get skiffs for it, but they didn't have a listing for this particular knife, and I guessed wrong. So I guess I have one for their program if I can figure out what the right size is, and I want to keep paying shipping to do that. As you can see, the detent is really snappy. I haven't had to tune this guy at all, and it just fires very easily, but it's super snappy and crisp, and it's just really well built. The drop on the close is not quite guillotine, but boy, I mean, any less pressure on that lock bar and it would be. I mean, it's really nice. rotate it right shut. I mean, if your goal is to get it shut, you just rotate it right shut. Really nice, no shake or anything necessary. Feels great. Sounds are great. I imagine you can hear those. And I'm consequently, the fidget factor of this guy is top tier. You know, the feel of it is so smooth, even on the vinyl caged ceramic bearings. Super smooth and stable, and I'm really impressed by the action. The ergonomics are almost all great. There is one thing that also kind of falls under fit and finish right in here. As you can see, the kind of the shroud, I guess, for the lock bar on the frame is very pokey. They didn't mill that down at all, chamfer it at all, and it's very pokey. It's not gonna like cut you, but it's pretty close. As you can see, it just turned up a little skin on my finger right there when I did that. So, you know, that is unfortunate. However, I don't find that very often unless I'm looking for it, and otherwise, the fit and finish on this knife is great. All this milling is really nicely positioned to give you additional purchase no matter how you're holding the knife. I love this little seat back here for my pinky when I choke up on it, which is what I'm almost always doing with this. So that just really lets you lock it in here. And I would say, other than this little thing here, the ergonomics are top notch. The vibe of it is, I think it's a super cool looking knife. I love the way this angle here comes into this angle. It gives it a more dimension than it has. I think it's a cool looking knife. It's got heavy Remet vibes. I mean, I don't know if this is a guy who works for both companies that designed it or what, but heavy Remet vibes for sure. We've got a bit of billboarding on the blade, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it does kind of balance with the pivot when you're looking at it in the open position, you know, with this whole, I don't know. It's not totally off-putting, and it's not too big. I like the colored pivot. There's not quite enough blue. Like, you got to get really into it to see the blue that it is trying to pull out. So I kind of wish they would have gone with green, but it's still cool. And I mean, when you're actually looking at it in hand, you can obviously see that blue a little better. The backspacer, man, it's so comfortable to use this knife because of that. There's no pinch points or edges or anything that you feel. It adds a whole new level of visual interest running the whole length. And it just shows like a bit of investment and pride in this design that, you know, I like it. So this was $145 MSRP on AliExpress with discount codes and whatnot. I think I got it about 105, and I definitely think it's worth that for how I use a knife anyway. Because the toughest thing I'm cutting is cardboard, and it does a great job of that. I will feel even better about that price if hardness tester guy on Reddit can come back with a better score. I will link to his website in the description of this video so you can check it out if you haven't. Super cool community project, and you should all participate in it as you can. Very cool. The next knife we're going to look at is actually really similar to this guy, so I'm going to leave him right up here so we can kind of use it as a comparison. That knife is the TS229 from TwoSun. It came in a little TwoSun box with, spoiler alert, nothing. But I got it secondhand, so I don't know that that's necessarily the way they come. And I got this from Reddit's Knife Swap. And I freaking love this knife. It's about exactly the same size, maybe like a touch longer, but not really. The blade is also 3.5, but not quite on the cutting edge. It's maybe 3.25 on the cutting edge because of the choil. The scales are a sort of swirly basket weave, maybe. I don't really know what to call that carbon fiber, but it's really smooth. And I would have appreciated a little more texture here, but you know, is what it is. There is micro milling all around the frame. So, and enough texture around the edges with these screws stand just slightly proud. You got the back spacer, a lot of texture in the clip. So it's not slidey in hand, but still, I would always like a little more texture than perfectly smooth. The clip is got a little concavity to it. However, it is super flexy, and I've never had any issues getting this into pocket, even with like sweatpants or gym shorts or whatever. Also has the cutout, which is cool, save a little weight, and you can see this carbon fiber through it, I suppose. But it works very well, and I have no complaints with that. It is a little pointy up at the top here. There is one grip where you can feel that, and that's unfortunate. If they kept it a little tighter up top, that would have been better. For openers, we have really similar. We've got the fuller instead of the hole, but you can flick that very easily. And then we have the front flipper as well. The blade shape is a clip point American Tonto, I guess. We've got a generous chisel up front and a slight swedge on the top. So you get a really pokey tip of a drop point and a pretty, I mean, for me, this is a perfect belly. I do not like a deep belly on a knife. And then you get that really pronounced secondary tip. So as much as I like this knife, the blade on this one is one of my very favorites. Super safe for opening, and then this chisel tip is just absolutely destroys cardboard. So, I mean, I've used this a ton too. This one's also M390 with my favorite finish. Maybe not quite deep enough, but I love a vertical satin. I like to be a little more aggressive, but I'll take it. I think it's a really cool looking blade. And I've used it, I mean, probably more than any of my other knives because I like it so well. And look at that edge. I mean, there's just nothing. Little tiny nicks. I've never taken anything to it. This is the edge it had when I received it. It's got nice mirror finish to it. And man, I just really love this blade. The action on this thing is just insanely good. Really nice, crisp detent that, I mean, if you fire the knife, it is going to open. You don't get any sort of floppy false opens ever. And the close, as you can see, I mean, this one is proper guillotine. So, as soon as you want it to, it's dropping. Ample time to get out, but it is a very good feeling knife. Extremely satisfying to fidget with. And it's just kind of a joy to pull out every time. Now, we only have maybe 15 or 20% lockup. That's my only issue with this knife. I don't know if I need to do something to the insert to get a little more out of it. I'm not super happy with that. But, I mean, it's never been a problem. And man, do I use this knife a lot. So, it is what it is. Ergonomically, it's extremely similar to the Sitivien. I mean, all the way around, it's really similar. You've got a shelf for your pinky, but this one has a second one. So, I mean, it's great. In this position, you've got a rest for all of your fingers, which lets you really lock in on it. And then if you move up, you've got still something, I mean, you can truly choke up on it. And I just love this handle design. We've got a true choil here rather than this kind of implied choil situation here that works, but this one is really a lot safer. I mean, you're all the way under the edge, and I just ergonomically, I love the way this knife is put together. When I first saw the blade, this is my only clip point, and I wasn't sure about it, but I was intrigued enough by the chisel and the secondary tip to give it a try, and I'm so glad I did. Fit and finish, super high. Like the vertical satin with the mirror finish. I mean, how do you beat that? We've got this cool pivot with T8s everywhere. A little bit more texture here obviously would have been great. A little longer on the backspacer could have been better, but It feels great in hand. It is weighty. It has no interior milling at all. I didn't mention it on the Sitivien, but it's really light. It has a ton of interior milling. As you can see, that show side panel is milled out all the way down, all the way around, except for the retention holes for this. And it is significantly lighter. However, this thing feels like a brick in the hand. That's one of my issues with this lockup. If the lockup were a little better, I would feel really good about hard using this knife. It feels so solid, but that is a little dodgy. If you know what I should do here to make this lockup a little better, let me know. I've tried to tune it, and this is just as far as it was going when I had the lock bar with less pressure. So, I mean, it's something in the geometry up here. So if you know what I should do to fix this, please let me know. Is it just like a grinding situation or what? The vibe of it is, the handle's not as cool as the Sitivien. Like, there's no two bones about it. This kind of pedestrian, shiny basket weave versus that pretty badass, in my opinion, fat carbon fiber. No contest. However, the blade of this thing has a lot of presence, in my opinion. So for that reason, I almost put this one ahead of this one because, I mean, the blade is the thing, right? So this guy came to me secondhand. Initially, the MSRP on them is about 120, I believe, and I got it for 65 from Knife Swap. He said he'd used it, but it was in perfect condition, although I've used it a ton, and I could clean it up to looking perfect as well. So, who knows? Absolutely worth every penny of that $65. This was the best $65 you could possibly spend on a knife, in my opinion. I love this thing. I would recommend it to anybody, and I would pretty much buy another TwoSun product without any further convincing, provided it had a front flipper and a flicky device and a frame lock, because I love this thing. That said, my experience here and a little bit too much time on Reddit led me to a few more things that I felt I needed to check out. So in the next video, we're going to be looking at some stuff at, I don't know, some of you are probably going to consider it high end, some of you are consider it the top of middle end, but whatever. First will be the Roxy 3 from Wii, and then the Migaron Carix 2. And we will follow that up with the Big Daddy, the Kunwu Gringo. So if you're interested in seeing these guys, be sure to hit that bell so you get a notification as soon as I get that video out. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate a like. And if you have any comments about any of these knives, if you have any suggestions that meet my general criteria here, I'd love to see them in the comments. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Don't forget, we're all in this together, so be excellent to each other and be good to yourself as well.